the Enermax by AquaFusion. We did the unbox of this, but we never did the install. A few of you have reached out to me lately, and you guys have been saying it's been a pain in the butt to actually install this. So hopefully I can make it a little bit easier on you guys. Don't forget, there is timestamps down below. We'll be right back after this, and let's get this thing installed. Whoops. So welcome back to the channel to those of you who are subscribed. And if you're not subscribed, think about hitting the subscribe button down below. A month or two ago, we did an unbox of the AquaFusion by Enermax. Now, like I said in the intro, a few of you have reached out saying it was a pain in the butt or it's giving you trouble to install it. So today, hopefully we can rectify that and actually help you get this installed into your PC. Maybe you just might be missing a part, because I know somebody was missing a part on the Kraken when we did the install. I was in communication with somebody and they had been missing one of the AMD bracketry for their motherboard and the Kraken. So maybe you might be going through something similar where you're probably either missing the pieces you need, or you might just be using the wrong pieces. Maybe you just got one of those parts that just nothing lines up. It's just giving you a hassle. You might just have a dud on your hands and you may need to send it back. Let's get that handled today. Let's find out what's the problem, because I have installed this in the past and I actually did notice an issue with the mounting bracketry for the AMD socket. It wasn't that it was wrong, the screw didn't want to go in all the way. So let's figure that out today, and let's get this thing actually installed on our test bench. If you'd like for me to get a new test bench, something normal and nice, you could buy me a coffee right here. That's just something where you could donate like $1, $2 or something. It's a one-time donation. Or you could join the Patreon. And remember, there's one thing that's free. It'll never cost you $1, not a dime. Just subscribe, like, comment down below. Share these videos with your friends. Help the channel to grow. Let's jump into actually installing the Enermax AquaFusion on our test bench. This installation will go for the 120, 240, 360. It doesn't matter. The bracketry and all that's going to be the same. It's just the positioning of your rad, your fans, and what have you. Make sure you have all your stuff ready, your tools. So we're going to be installing this on this ASRock X570 Steel Legend. It doesn't really matter. It's still AM4 socket, so it doesn't matter. So first thing you want to do is make sure your RAM is removed. If this is an upgrade, make sure you remove your graphics card. Besides that, you really don't have to do much. You could do this while it's inside the case. You don't need to take the whole motherboard out to put this on your PC, excuse me. But if you're doing this on the outside, either way, it doesn't matter. These are not that hard to do, especially if you could get to your back plate. So if you open up the back side of your case where all your wire management is, and you can see your back plate, then you will be able to install this. I'm gonna bring you guys closer and we're going to get this thing put on. I'll also be pointing out what you will need for Intel. So right here, I'll put real fast the AMD and the Intel sockets that this cooler will fit. Oh, and if you missed the unboxing of this video, I'll put a link right here. The back plate for this, if you pay attention, right there, it says AMD. On the flip side, Intel. So this way you know which side to use. Okay, moving on. So we are doing AMD right now and not Intel, but I will point out the Intel stuff. Now you will not have this on. I put this one on when I installed this before, and I'm gonna show you something. So this is the problem I had, was this screw right here. I don't know if I'm picking it up on camera, but it won't go all the way down. So this actually has play. And I think it was actually very hard to take this out. Nope. Here's all the stuff that should be in the baggie. Here's our back plate right here, the one that's gonna say AMD Intel on either side. Let's make sure you have all this stuff. So you're gonna have two large brackets like this that are gonna have the legs going outward. Two smaller ones with the legs, we're calling these legs, pointed inward. You only see one here because the other one is on the cooler. That's the one that won't come off. 4 or 5 of these really small screws, very thin,
You should have 8 of the other small ones, but they're fatter. 4 of these washers that look like gears. See the edges? And they're plastic. You should have 4 thumb screws, 4 spacers made of plastic, 4 silver very long screws that have threading that go about halfway up, 8 other long screws that are more of a shiny black, but the threads only go a few millimeters up. This is for socket LGA 2011, your Enermax thermal compound, but this is not a big deal if you don't have it. This sticker looking thingy. In another baggie, you should have a RGB splitter, like this one, the black one's gonna have 2 pieces here and then 1 coming off the other end. A SATA to a fan head. And then in a second bag, you will have another RGB header for a GigaByte digital header. RGB connector 5 volts. So this is the regular 5 volt one. And you'll see it says it right there. And in this bag, another SATA. I don't know exactly what this is for. I don't want to just blurt something out. So those are all the pieces you should have. Of course, the cooler itself too. If you're missing something, then maybe that's the problem. If you're not, well, watch on. You're gonna get this thing first. So this is our first step. I love how the wires are white. If you're doing Intel, you're going to need these 2, okay? The longer ones. So these are the Intel, the ones that are out. They're bigger, they seem longer. These are the AMD that are coming in. If you're doing Intel, you're gonna do these. And if you're doing AMD, you're gonna do these ones. These are fastened into the side right here, like that, using these longer black screws that are tiny. So let's do that right now. As you'll see, when I go to tighten this screw, nothing, it just wants to strip. And also, you know it's these, I'm doing this right, I promise you, is because the bracket right here, the metal black piece, is recessed in, and these have, if you pay attention to the tip, those actually go in and to sit flush. The other screws are just flat. These are just really tight. So let's get our iFixit kit out. And I'm going straight in, not at an angle, and these are very tight. Yeah, look, these are just, maybe that's just the way they're meant to be. Yeah, I went pretty tight just now. So weird. Other screws will not work. And if you try to use the other short screws, same thing, and there's a big gap in between it, where the other ones at least sit flush, just leave play. So yeah, it's not these, I know that for a fact, but I wanted to show you just in case you thought maybe I'm wrong. It's not these guys, it's these longer, thinner ones. So let's finish screwing all these in. Yeah, even on this side. I got 5 of these little guys, so I guess I got an extra one, hooray. So, yeah, that's got play to it. So when you tighten the screws here down, it's gonna pull on it no matter what. We got our bracketry. So if you're on Intel, you used these ones. And the same screws. And just remember, you want them looking like this once they're on. Now let's move on to the next step. What the instructions want us to do now is actually hook up our radiator and fan to our PC chassis. Let's actually just put our fan to our radiator. We'll worry about the next part later. But what I'm gonna do now is show you how to do this. And as always, I'm gonna tell you how to place a fan to your radiator. So this part right here, this will tell you how many voltage and wattage and all those speeds of your fan is. So this right here, if we had it against our radiator like this, I'll put an animation, that's the flow of air. Now, if we went like this with the pretty side, that would be the flow of air. This way you understand when you put it in your case which way. So if you put this in the top of your case, you would want it like this, So that way it would help hot air go straight up out of your case. If this goes to the back of your case, it would go like this, also to help take hot air out of your case. Now, if you put it like this, on this side of the rad, you'd be helping hot air get out of your case if this went to the back also, but you'd be seeing the nicer side if you put it on this side of the radiator. So if this is an exhaust at the back of your case, you'd want it like this. You can see the fan, and this will help exhaust hot air out the back of your case. If this is going on the underside of your PC, the top of your case like this, so you could read the Enermax lettering perfectly left and right on both the fan, the rad. So that's how you would go with this. Now let's place this onto our radiator. So you would need this screw right here. In the instructions it's H, but as you can see the thread only goes up so far. The other screw, they go further up. See this screw, they go further up. You don't want the chrome screw because that's not really a screw. See, there's no head. This is like a locking bolt. This one has a Phillips. So what you want to do now is take 4 of these, run them through the fan's housing. You're gonna see the hole right there. And you're gonna want to get it into one of these 4 holes in your radiator. So if you did want to install this in your case now, and let's say, for argument's sake, this is gonna be a rear exhaust. So it's gonna sit something like that basically. What you'll do then is take these screws, the more flatter flatheads, the more flatter Phillips, excuse me, and these would go to the back of your case into your radiator to hold it into your case. So this would be on the inside of your case, and the outside of your case, you take these screws, screw them through the outside of the case into the radiator, and that's how you would bolt it. Top, side, bottom, don't matter. Just make sure you have your fan placed in either a push or pull config that makes sense. If you're using the Intel bracketry right now, you're gonna wanna get the side that says Intel, see it right up there. And what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to put quotations, arrows to show you which one is for LGA 1366 and LGA 115X. So if you're on the LGA 1150, 1151, 1155, 1156, or 1366, do not do this part, just move on to the next part. But yeah, if you're on 1366 or 115X, if you're on AMD, these are the holes you're gonna need. Make sure yours is facing you. So AMD is facing us because I'm doing AM4. Now, let's get that long screw that doesn't have a head. This one, the long one. And let's place it into our corresponding slot that we just went over. So since we're AM4, that'll be the closest to the right on this guy right here. Just push that in there like that. Now pay attention, the bottom of your bolt, when you got it in your slot, needs to sit flush. So spin it around until it finally goes in and sits flush up against the back, right there. Now once you got that in, take one of those gear plastic looking washers, put it over the top, push it down, and sandwich it, and let's make sure that everything is nice and flush. Now you're gonna wanna do that for the rest of the spots. Don't forget what socket you're on and where to place these. And don't forget again, they need to sit flush. They have weird heads and they go in a certain way to sit flush. You wanna make sure it goes over that little hump. AMD is facing us right here, and those are sticking up. What you're gonna wanna do is peel it off, that piece out of there. We don't need the middle piece. Let's put that back right where we got it from. Because you're on AMD, and these are sticking down, see how they're up like that? Let's take this and line it up with our square like so. And make sure it's sticky. you're sticky to this, so it won't fall off. And now right quick, for those of you on LGA 2011 and those other ones, you won't be putting those bolts in. You're going to need this bag right here that plainly says LGA 2011. These ones look like a top, short end, long end. They have a grip. And let's pretend that is a LGA 2011. Wait, do I have LGA 2011? Hold on. So you would take it like this, right there. You would go to your socket hole and you would place it just like that. And you would put all 4 of them the same way. So that's for LGA 2011, 11-3, and 2066. So once you have these screwed in on your LGA 2011 or those other ones, now you would want to put your thermal compound onto your CPU. Yeah, if you haven't installed your CPU, install your CPU. And now for the rest of us, let's put on our back plate. Now, you can do this with one hand. It's not really that hard. Just watch. Oh, and also, get 1 or 2 of these nearby. Keep your stuff nearby. So we're gonna take this now. We're gonna come up through the back, push it up, holding it on one side on the back, taking this washer right here. It should grab on and be tight. Not really too tight, but tight. And it should grab onto these screws. That should hold it up. It's not gonna be super tight. Those washers are good, but they're not that good. You put your washers in, and that part's done. For those of you who have not put on your CPU yet, this would be the right time. So if you're on AM4, pull back the pin all the way back. This is a little trick. Look at the CPU itself and make sure the Ryzen letters are aligned with this that says AM4 socket, or just look for the diamond in the corner on the tips. I mean, I have this in my install videos, but it'll say AM4 socket going this way. So make sure it says Ryzen in the same direction. And bring the arm down. You will feel tension. As long as your CPU is in the socket, it went all the way down. You give it a little jiggle. Go all the way down with it and don't worry about that tension. Now you would apply your thermal compound. I'm not gonna go through all those phases because no thank you. Not right now. I don't feel like cleaning thermal paste, putting things away for no reason. When I just have to put this on, it's not gonna hurt anything. If you haven't put this in your case yet, do that now. Have your radiator put in where you want to. So if you can't see your logo like I can't, the way I know it to be with every AIO I've installed, the hoses come out this way. So towards your DIMM slots, where your RAM would go. So this would be straight up and down. See that right there, how the brackets are? This would have your logo in the right direction when you put the RGB LED on. So this is the way you'd want to go. Before you do that though, remove this. So grab the peel and peel it all the way off. I'm gonna leave this on because I don't want to hurt the socket. So your thermal paste is put on your CPU. You've peeled that plastic off the bottom of the base of the copper of this cold plate. You know that it goes this way. 99% of coolers, AIOs like this is the way the hoses are to the right. So some of them you could just take this off and turn it. Maybe this one you can. If you have your radiator already placed in your PC, good job, because it'll be in something like this or straight up. This would be the best way, is having it exhausting out the top. That would be great. So what you want to do now is get one hand on the back of your back plate, like so. Get this on here. Everything should just line up just fine. Everything should be lined up. If you got a friend to help, that's cool. You're gonna take these screws with the springs on them and we're going to put them on so they catch thread. Put one in the bottom corner somewhere. You're gonna take another one, same one, and you're gonna go on the opposite side and up, because we wanna go in a crisscross pattern. And remember, if you feel the bottom screw spinning, that means it's not in the channel we did earlier when we had to make sure, and we used the little gear looking screw to hold it in place. Then we're gonna put one on this one, like this. And we're not tightening them, we're just going until it stops, and that's good enough.
if you can see the back of your board, make sure those silver long ones, as long as they're sitting flush, you're fine. If you see they're sticking up, then they moved, because they're gonna move. Those little plastic washers they give you that look like gears that sandwiched them in earlier, they don't really hold too tight. So those are flush. Let's turn our motherboard around. Now that that's in, remember, all we did was go with the screws till they stop. Let me move this out of the way. Let's get our Phillips screwdriver. And now what you're gonna do is go. Oh, it stopped. Let's go to an opposing screw somewhere else. See, I did down here, I went up and to the right. Zigzag pattern. It went stop, just a tad bit more. Now down here, it stopped a little bit more. And now the top one, stop, tad bit more. That's it, that's all. You do not have to go Herculean strength. I am Thor, no, just go Black Widow. Don't go Thor, go Black Widow. I love Black Widow, I'm not mocking her. That's a god, that's a human, that's all I'm saying. Don't god it, human it. When it stops, literally just go 10% more. That's all you gotta do, that's perfect, that's fine. A lot of modern motherboards will have a header that will say pump. So that's where you would want to connect this pretty white braided cable. So you could connect that to that. If you do not have that, you could connect it to the fan header that says CPU. It's usually in the top right hand corner. This is our radiator's fan right here. It's a 4-pin. And what you would connect this to is, if you're able to connect this to a pump header, great. If not, and you put this one in CPU or CPU opt, put this fan in CPU if you use the opt, put this one in opt if you used CPU. This way you can know the fan speed to the radiator for your CPU. So you can adjust it. If the if the CPU is getting warm, you can tell this fan to speed up in the BIOS or whatever cooling system you're using, bloatware. So we'll place this one right here, because this would be CPU, because I used a pump header. And now you have your RGB connections right here. So this is 5 volt. So make sure you find a 5 volt RGB header on your motherboard. It'll say 5 volt on it. Look on your manual to make sure. And you have a daisy chain, so if you have other fans, you take this off and you're done. Connect that one. Now for GigaByte motherboards, there's that other wire we were looking at earlier. Where is it? It'll actually say it on there. GigaByte Digital Header, VDG. I'll just read it out of the paper. For GigaByte motherboards, the pin assignment of the addressable RGB header is different from those of AquaFusion. Therefore, when you install the cooler onto the motherboards, please connect the RGB sync cable to the adapter. Both cables are included in the AquaFusion package. Next step, please connect the RGB sync adapter to the motherboard's addressable RGB header. So if you're on GigaByte motherboard, this is what you would do. I don't know if you can see it very well, but there's letters and numbers. You'll see it say +5 DNG, and you'll see the other on the other one too. You'll see the same thing. Make sure you plug them into the same. So make sure it says 5 on the top one, 5 on the top one. And you'll also notice that this has 3 holes and a middle one is not. Make sure it's the same and plug those in like so, and then connect this into your RGB header for your GigaByte motherboard. So that's what this is for, okay? GigaByte Digital VDG. And if you want to use the controller itself, there's this little thing that's going to be covered up by a white little cap next to your pump wire coming out. Take that off, and you'll see there's a little fork sticking out. You're going to want to take this RGB connection right here. Going to have this little guy that has like 4 holes in it, and you're going to connect that in there. You know, it might be good to put this in at the start, so you're not trying to do this from the top of your case, because that's where this thing would be facing. It goes in there just like that. Once it goes in, you have this wire sticking out, and what you would do, take it and plug it into there like that. Find this one coming off your fan, or you could connect your controller to this one, and then you would have this that has a SATA on one side and this really small little connection. This would go to the bottom of your controller. Quick representation of that is right
here. So right here, this is the bottom of your controller. That's where this guy would go, that little piece. And on the top of your controller, that's where this would go, coming off of your fan. So you put the black one in here, coming out, going into your fan's daisy chain, fan coming out, top of the RGB controller. This goes into the bottom of your RGB controller, and this plugs straight into your power supply. That way you can use your controller and use all the fun lights. And that's how you install the Enermax AquaFusion. But looking back at it now, those screws at the beginning I said that left the brackets loose, they were wobbly, they're good. They're fine. Plus the CPU is not under there, so it would probably hold it even better, but it's on there pretty good. I really hope it was mounted properly with the Enermax going in that one direction. If not, I do notice that there's 4 little screws, because you have a plastic also a peel on top of your AIO, which saved that for the end. You probably could just remove those screws and flip it around. So I don't think that's even a problem. I hope this helped those of you who asked for this video. I really hope you were able to find the problem and get past it. If it helped you, give this video a thumbs up. If you're done with this video, thank you very much for visiting the channel. We're very thankful for everybody who watches and likes and comments. Again, if you're not subscribed, hit that big red button at the bottom. And I hope to see you guys on the next video. Now, for those of you that stood behind for what I said earlier, if you're an editor, you're looking for some reference, you want to be able to put this on a resume, and you want somebody that will gladly give a reference for you, then please hit me up. Let's talk. Let's figure out how we could do this. And guys, again, I just want to thank you for watching the video, and thank you to those who stood to the end to hear this message. I really do appreciate it. It's about that time. I have to clean this up, and I'm going to sleep because I am very, very tired. I will see you guys on the next one. Late.